Welcome to DWBIADDA channel. Please subscribe for latest training videos.
Hello to you all. Today we will continue explanations of our activities. Today we will talk about incomes, investments, plans and monthly activity, including business activity. So let's start. If I click on one of these three categories, I'll open business activity and represent data for that category. But how I managed to open just one activity and represent data for three activities? Here is the activity business layout. Simple design. We have two buttons, an image view, we have text view and then recycler view here. So let's open the code for this activity. So after this usual defining of our objects, we have initializing, then we have preparing for our app. We use some data that we're getting from our intents. We have variables business money, home money and taxes money, and you can see what it represents. And then we have which function that represents the category that we select. Now let's go to these on button click functions. We have on button invest click. We set text view for plans visibility false and then set our recycle view visible. Then we have function load invest. For button plans we set text view plans visible and recycler view visibility to false and we load plans. So let's go to this function where we are loading investments. Here we are. As you can see, our function load investments. We have variable invested set it to true. We show our progress dialog with a message and then we are loading the investigation that we added now. So investigation that we added now. You need to be careful with that. So we locate our investigation with our database reference, as you can see, and we go to child invest. Then we have another database reference that is located to just business child. After that, we read data from database. From database references data ref. So be careful, no database reference, data ref. We check if our database has child invested, and if that's true, we're going through this loop who goes to the data snapshot .child invested money, and then number of children inside this child. We diminish our business money value for the value which we read from our database, and that's this one. After that, we check if our data snapshot has child limit, and then we set limit to this value from database. If data snapshot hasn't child limit, we set it to -1. After that, our variable money for check gets the value of business money. It's the same about other two categories, as you can see, and that's the loading of investment that we added now. So what that means, if we selected invested and then added some investment, we'll load it on this way. If we just select invested and load investments that we previously added, we'll use the next type of loading it from database. We go through our database and show every else investments which we have. We're going through database reference, which we set it here, if you remember, here, and we get the number of data snapshot children. So we get the number of children for this child.taxes or home or business, and then child invested. N gets that value, and then if n is not equal to 0 and n if is not equal to -1, because if it's equals to 0, why would we read some data if there is no any data? And if it is not equal to -1 is the default value for n, then we can go and read something. Our array of investments gets the initialization. Here we set his length to n, and then we're going through this array and setting his values for every investment from database. So as you can see, we have string.value of data snapshot.child invested plus number of investment. We have our layout manager, and here we are setting our recycler view with data which we collected here. As you can see, we have business activity.this context and our array invested. Otherwise, if this is not true, we just display that we don't have any investments and set the n to 0. So number of children in database reference field is 0, and we dismiss our progress dialog. And that would be it for loading our investments. It's a little bit of confusing, but try to split these two parts, this part of loading every investment and this part of loading just investment that's added now, and it will be easier for you to understand it. Now let's go to the loading of plans, and as you can see, we have invested set it to false here because we clicked to plans, not for invested. We show progress dialog, and then we need to recognize which category are we using. We are locating our database references to business plans, home plans, or Texas plans. After that, we are going to true database, and as you can see, we get children count, so we get number of children for these database references. It will always be 1, but you'll see why we are doing this. Then we have string text plans, and his value is the value which we read from database, and if his value is not empty or null, then we can set that value to our text view plans. If this is not true, then text view plans get the text you don't have any plans, because we don't have any plans, and n value gets to 0. We show our TV plans and dismiss the progress dialog. Now let me show you why we do this and why this is very important. We're here at the button plus.setOnClickListener. So if our n variable is equal to -1, so if this value is -1, then we didn't loaded any data for invested or plans. We just clicked plus immediately when we enter this activity, showing this message to user select invested or plans. If this value is not -1, then we go and check if invested is true, that's this here, or if invested is false. So if we checked plans or invested, if invested is true, we show pop-up for invested. If invested is not true, then we show pop-up plans. And that would be it about this button plus, and I explained why this n value is important. Now let's go to show pop invested. As you can see, we have simple pop-up. We set the text for text view pop-up invested to type in your new investment, and then if user clicks button confirm, then we check if edit text pop invested is not empty. Same for the edit text invest money, and then we are getting the value from these two edit text. Let me open this pop-up so you can better understand. So this is where we set our text to text views and check if these two edit text are not empty. Then if our pop-up money, that's this value, plus money for check, that's the value which I explained before, is bigger than money limit, and money limit is not equal to 1, and that means if money limit exists, then we show pop-up for limit to warn the user that he is going to extend his limit. Here is the pop-up limit, here it is. So we just say, with this investment you will extend your limit, are you sure? And here if he click yes, we are going to the database, and our child invested plus number of that investment value is set to this value, and in invested money we do that also. And then we go to load invested because we want to load that value that we added now. I think that you understand now. We have also update business value. I'll explain that later. Let's get back to this show pop invested, and after showing pop-up limit, if this is not true, if our money limit is not existing or this is not bigger than money limit, then we go here, we get this string timestamp, we get the current date, and then update all our data to database. We're also loading invested and then update business value for pop-up money. If these two are empty, we just close our pop-up. Then show pop-up plans, same story here. This is routine. We set text for text view pop invested, and then if user click button confirm, then we check if pop invested is not empty. If it is empty, our pop-up text gets the value empty and we dismiss the dialog. Else, our pop-up text gets the value from this edit text, and if text plans are not equal to null, then our database references value is set to text plans plus pop-up text. So on the text which we have in our database, we just add this pop-up text. Else, we just add our pop-up value to database. So now let me explain you this update business value. That's this function here. So we have database reference here, and then we locate it to user.getUID. Balance money is diminished by update money. So the money that we invested needs to be included in this balance money. So we can diminish our balance money for this value. And then if which is equals to 1, then we'll set the value for business, but not in child business, just for business minus this update money. If which is equals to 2, also for home, not child home with subchilds, just child home, we need to diminish this value for this value, also for taxes, and at the end we submit our balance value. Then set text view to this value. That would be it for this business activity. Hope that you'll understand everything from this tutorial. I tried everything to explain you as simple as possible, but as I said, this activity is the most complex one. Until the next tutorial, thank you and goodbye.